Good afternoon, guys. Hey, I had a request to do a demo of the real estate analyzer here. Very simple to use, couple of tabs. Let me show you a couple of the features. This is one I have it pre-filled. Essentially, you fill in the address to your liking, square foot, year the property was built, bed, baths, and a unique feature that I had built in is a region. Based on what region you select, the cost estimates will adjust accordingly. You can see from the renovation portion of the tab, you can easily select and input all the different types of variables, dumpsters, interior demo, structural, any type of structural work here, anything you want to change, you can easily make those inputs. You can see it adjusts accordingly. We've got framing, roof, any type of reinforcement, exterior, painting, exterior, siding, vinyl, garage door opener, driveway, fencing, landscape, exterior lighting. Like on this example, if I was replacing the driveway, the labor on that, we'll just put it all in the labor category. I mean, it might be 10 grand. You can see it quickly adjusts all the totals. Windows and doors, input whatever you want in there. We've got some good estimates on what things typically cost. We got estimates for painting, trim, flooring, vinyl plank, hardwood refinishing. Maybe you're not going to paint yourself. You got to hire someone to do that. Easily can adjust the labor on it. See those totals quickly adjust. Kitchen. All the inputs for kitchen, bathrooms, vanities, systems, HVAC, water heater, plumbing, electrical, smart thermostats, in an area where a lot of people seem to overlook. Certainly permitting. If you're doing permitting, we need to get those in there. Any type of final cleaning. And then I would always recommend putting some sort of a contingency in there. Usually you're going to want to put 10% of the overall project costs. For this example, I'm going to put in $3,000. And very quickly at the bottom, you can see what your breakdown is between material and labor. You can see it broken down by different category. And then if you're analyzing a flip, all of this data is still free for you. You put in what your after repair value, your acquisition prices, your closing costs, your maximum AVR. Typically, this is going to be between 70 and 80%. If you're financing the flip, you're going to put in here what's your financing perspective, the interest rate, the points. Let's say you had to pay a couple of points to get the loan. How long you want to hold. This will prorate the taxes and the insurance along with the utilities. Any type of selling expense that you may have there, you can plug that in. And very quickly, based on your after repair value, you can see that there's a lot of potential profit on this one. If you think that's too aggressive, maybe you think you're only going to sell it for $450,000. I'm sorry, I got the wrong number here. You can see that quickly adjusts what your total investment is. Based on 80% of the profit, you don't want to pay more than $285,000 here for your acquisition price. Have your numbers aligned. We're at $280. That still works. So we are $5,860 in the money to the good over our acquisition price. Average repair value to cost 1.26. That's good. And as we go on to, you're wondering how this is going to work as a rental. If you're debating on whether you're going to keep it and flip it or you're going to turn it into a rental property, simply plug in what your monthly or annual rent could be. You can toggle back and forth. In this example, let's put in $3,500 a month. You plug in your taxes, your insurance, any repairs, management fees. Let's put in a 5% management fee. If you're going to have a loan on the property, put down how much you're going to put down, what you think the interest rate is, your amortization. You can see from here what your monthly payment is, $1,199, based on the income, your expenses, The net operating income after expenses $34,900. Debt service is $23,993. So in this example, your monthly cash flow after debt service is $909 a month, so $10,970. So that's a nice little return there. Certainly the income passes the 1% rule. You're at 1.3. The cap rate's 10. Cash on cash returns 15.6. So this is an excellent investment. Debt service coverage ratio. Bankers want to see a 1.2 debt service coverage or greater. This covers at 1.45, so it's very easy for you to get a loan on this particular one. Monthly cash flow is $909. Break-even analysis. This is a nice little tile here. So if your $3,500 is a little bit aggressive on rent, you can show that if you can at least get $2,591, you're going to break even based on your expenses and debt service. A couple graphs of the same charts, the cap rate, the debt service that we talked about here. Interest rates, if there's a fluctuation in interest rates, if you got a variable rate loan, you can see what effect that has on your monthly cash flow, annual cash flow, and your debt service coverage. That 6% goes down to 5%. The cash flow really jumps up a couple grand a year. Makes a big difference. So some great charts. You can see how your wealth builds up over time. If you're keeping this property as a rental, by year 5, you can see how much the value appreciates, how much the loan pays down, and your cumulative cash flow on this. So it gives you some really good rent information here. This particular chart, assuming rents go up, expenses go up, net operating income goes up, shows you what your return is as you hold your property over time. The next tab, for those of you that are into the BRRRR models, very simply you can calculate if you're going to refinance all of your investment, the original purchase price, the improvements, and what that's going to look like. In this example, you could refinance $360,000 on this investment. You'd be able to pull all your investment out plus another $11,500 or $11,150 and stick that in your pocket. And even at that loan amount, 6% for 30 years, you're still covering the debt service at 1.35 times with good cash flow on that. So that's a very good property to potentially pull your cash back out and keep it as a rental. Exit strategies. Certainly, if you're considering selling it or doing a 1031 exchange, there's a lot of good charts and data on here on how you could potentially exchange this into the next property and leverage the equity that you already have in there. A good tool there. Quite often investors want to compare side by side. Does it make sense to flip it or keep it as a rental? Here's a couple side-by-side comparisons. If you sold the property, what you're going to pay in taxes, what you're going to keep after tax, what your return on your initial cash is. Secondly, if you want to keep it as a rental, it shows you what you're going to have that first year in cash flow. So very good tool there. If you're comparing a couple different bank versus seller financing scenarios, you can compare these two side by side and determine which one may be best, or maybe it's a combination of both. And then ultimately, you can see how this deal is rated, and there's a great narrative here. Once you're doing your analysis, you can save the data. Literally, you click on here and save it. It saves it all for you. And at the end, if you're looking to send something to your banker or a particular real estate investor, this is the report that gets generated from the data that you've inputted. A nice PDF that covers everything that's in the chart, all the ratios. Everything's broken down: property address, acquisition, flipping, financing, closing costs, rental long-term assumptions, debt service requirements, profit on flip based on the variables, how well you've purchased the property. Talks about after repair values, selling costs, does all the calculations for you. This report it goes on and on. People quite often struggle when they're working with commercial bankers to get them to refinance the properties. This report makes it really easy for your banker to understand what it is that you're doing and feel very comfortable that you've got a strong team around you, not only for the renovations, but also for the financing and the bookkeeping piece of it. So A lot of great data there, and feel free to play around with the calculator, the calculations, put your own numbers in there. If you have any questions, please reach out.